The pharmaceutical industry and its relationship with opioid addiction in the United States. This research will be technological. I will analyze the data related to drug abuse and pain prescriptions to evaluate if there is a dangerous relation. The importance of this research is to bring awareness about the escalation of opioid prescriptions that often lead to an overdose. Measures have been taken to educate about opioid dependence, but the real issue here is that physicians do not foresee when a patient is at risk for opioid overdose and fail to prescribe naloxone for a reversal effect. The pharmaceutical industry also fails to explain all the effects opioids have on and the danger of dependence, which is another leading cause to the epidemic of overdoses. The purpose of this research is to analyze how the pharmaceutical industry may or may not contribute to drug addiction problems. In this specific research, I will investigate the epidemic of prescriptions of opioids without careful physician's follow-up that may lead to drug addiction problems and overdose. This research will be exclusively on young adults in the United States. The study will be analyzing data between drug prescriptions, drug dependence, and overdose in the U.S. provided by the CDC data. If we can prove that there is a relationship between opioids prescription and epidemical overdoses, then we can make a plan to reduce and prevent overdoses due to opioid dependence. Our independent variables were the type of drug that is studied, the focused age group, the number of prescriptions given for opioids. Our dependent variables were the number of deaths due to overdoses and number of overdoses. And our controlled variables were the data only from the United States, regulations of pharmaceutical opioid products. Number 1. Misuse of drug prescription. Since 2017, opioid prescription drugs have started to escalate, provoking dependence on a lot of people and overdoses. Number 2. Causes and consequences of unnecessary drug prescription. The unnecessary prescription of opioids varies from doctors not being aware of its addictive properties to doctors making money out of these addictive properties. Consequences of opioid dependence may vary from simple headaches or nosebleeds all the way to overdoses or organ failure. Number 3. How does opioid addiction work? The main function of opioid drugs is to release endorphins to dull the perception of pain and create a short but strong feeling of well-being. When this high is over, users want to feel good again, and there is where an addictive cycle may begin. Number 4. How did the opioid overdose crisis started? Around the 1990s, the opioid drug was first introduced to the market. A lot of doctors and hospitals started prescribing it, but they weren't aware about the addictive properties until it was too late. Number 5. How to prevent opioid addiction. To safely prevent opioid dependence, it is important to consult a doctor before taking any prescription and have careful follow-up when using this drug. Synthetic opioids may be the new problem causing the epidemic. The age-adjusted rate of drug overdose deaths involving synthetic opioids increased from 1 per 100,000 in 2013 to 11.4 in 2019. The data from deaths due to different use of drugs showed concerns with synthetic opioids, since natural opioids, heroin and methadone-related overdose deaths have been relatively stable since 1999. The difference was that the synthetic opioids, there were an increase of over 75% in 2015 through 2017, and continued to increase in 2018 and 2019. In this experiment, we hope to prove our hypothesis and to give enough relevant data to support our arguments and find suitable solutions. Our research has shown that the problem is currently increasing and nobody has been able to get a handle of it. The real problem that we wanted to prove in this research was how pharmaceutical companies know about the problem and exploit it to make more money. Thanks to a survey made by the CDC applied to various physicians and hospitals around the country, we were able to prove this point. The survey asked them that if they knew about the addictive properties of opioids, would they still prescribe them? 78% of the doctors in the survey responded that they wouldn't prescribe them unless it was completely necessary, and they wouldn't focus a lot more on the recovery after taking the prescription to try and avoid dependence.